So today with us we have Grant Dearborn, who is an Executive Vice President with Denali Group, where his focus is on business development, client results, and brand performance for Denali Consulting. Grant has been dedicated to spend management for his entire career with 12 years in management consulting and 4 as an industry procurement professional. He has led the development of various client programs in many spend management disciplines, including strategic sourcing, procurement transformation, supplier relationship management, and procurement technology implementation. Grant has also implemented comprehensive and customized approaches in category management and strategic sourcing, and even the most complex and difficult areas of spend. Grant holds an undergraduate degree in business administration as well as an MBA. Thank you so much for joining us today, Grant. Really looking forward to this solution deep dive. It's all yours.
Great. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
Welcome. And welcome to the attendees. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to walk through the presentation with me for Denali's PureSpend Services Solution.
Grant, I should have said to everybody who's on the call as a reminder, you're more than welcome to enter your questions in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. It says Q&A down there. Just feel free to go ahead and send Grant and I some questions. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you. So Mary had made just a quick introduction to me and to some of the things that I've done in terms of my profile. Just at a high level, a little bit more about me is obviously I've spent 18 years in the procurement space, where I've, over that 18-year career, I've focused on strategic sourcing, spend analytics, and technology implementations. So in that regard, as it relates to our PureSpend offering, I have had the exposure and the opportunity to work with all of the leading technology solutions in the marketplace. We'll talk a little bit about those further. I also spent 4 or 5 years with Ariba doing various source-to-pay technology implementations and transformations. A little bit about Denali. Some of you may know Denali already, some may not. Denali's been around almost 20 years. We are a management consulting firm. We focus strictly on procurement and supply chain. You can see here we have 5 business lines or service lines, if you will. The first is the consulting group, which was the founding pillar of the organization, focused on procurement and transformation, supply chain management, strategic sourcing, category management, et cetera. But the important thing to note there is that it's purely focused on supply chain and procurement. And from there, we've grown and we've developed the sourcing services group, which is basically your managed services or outtasking of the source-to-pay spectrum. Denali Intelligence, it's our custom and standardized subscription service for market intelligence. So that's category and commodities-based market intelligence designed specifically for the supply chain users and decision makers. Denali Academy is what it is, right? It's our learning center essentially for the procurement and sourcing space, online, gaming, classroom, et cetera, style education for procurement. And lastly is our recruiting and staffing, a division of Denali's focused solely on recruiting and staffing in the procurement space. So with that being said, a management consulting firm like Denali, that you're approaching 300 employees, we've done our fair share of spend analysis and conducted thousands of sourcing projects over our 20 years in business. And, the goal of today's discussion is to provide an overview of Denali's PureSpend solution service. So I say solution service, ultimately it's a combination of our technology and our services to provide spend visibility for our clients. So hopefully the goal here is to walk away from this knowing a little bit more about Denali and how our PureSpend solution services offering can help you add value to your procurement team. So we've noticed, at Denali that there's been a charge or a push towards greater levels of visibility, with an attempt to extend procurement's overall reach. And that's being done, obviously, through spend analytics, right? And we're trying to find ways to be more efficient, more effective in that area. Be it that there's 3, in our opinion, in our view, there's 3 focus areas when we talk about visibility. and getting the right level of reach across the procurement function within an organization. It's accuracy, right? First it's accuracy and it's ability to get the right analysis every time. It's getting it actionable, meaning that we can actually utilize the spend analysis that's been conducted. The data is worthy, and it can help us provide for decision making. And then lastly, there's an intelligent component, which often gets overlooked. It's being able to develop opportunities and execute strategies based on real-time intelligence. And if you saw earlier, Denali, certainly we have the accurate component. We'll talk further about this PureSpend technology that we're using. We have the actionable component, right, with the analytics and 20 years of our experience in the procurement and sourcing space. And then we have our market intelligence group, which will apply the commodity analysis and the benchmarking and the case studies to help bolster that reporting from the data analytics side. So I think many of you, obviously being in the procurement space, probably don't need to necessarily go through this, right? The benefits of a spend analysis. But the takeaway here is the great spend analysis should provide a few key things, right? There's 6 here, but at a high level, the spend analysis should provide a high level of usable insights to support decision making for the organization. Right, we've probably all experienced, hey, we get some data, we do some cleansing and classifying, and then what do we do with it, right? The spend analysis should also be a foundation for supplier performance management, not just a one-stop shop. It's, hey, there's one data set, we pull an analysis, we see our categories and our opportunities, and now it's useless, right? We need to be able to follow through with that analysis and continue to refresh that analysis and continue to pile on the inputs of market intelligence and benchmarks to make that report stronger and stronger as we continue to monitor and manage supplier performance. And then lastly, obviously, is always the contract compliance piece, right? It's utilizing spend analytics, again, as a recurring, reusable tool to monitor supplier performance and to ensure we're getting the right exposure and management to our supplier contracts. So, right, and that makes sense, right? Those benefits are all pretty standard and nothing new there per se. But what's been preventing us all from getting this great level of spend visibility? And I think I've identified a couple of them here, a few of them here. The first is the ineffective analysis. Right, so the spend analysis we're doing just doesn't have the right level of depth. It's not accurate, and it's incomplete, or there's just no synergy maybe in the data between one line of business or a division of the organization, or just the languages just aren't effectively producing the right level of decision-making materials. Adoption is always another. In-house solutions, they don't really have the right capabilities, or the tools just aren't getting used. A lot of us may have adopted or essentially inherited a spend analytics or visibility solution vis-a-vis a ERP or an e-procurement solution and said, oh, great, we now have spend visibility, but we're not using it, and we're not using it for a number of reasons. So that could be another area of a challenge. So the other one here is obviously the conflicting priorities. I think we feel that across all of our major project work streams, regardless of what our imperatives are. And then the last is expertise or the learning curve factor, right? So a lot of us might feel spend analysis easy and we can cleanse data. It's actually not. It's actually, it's a desired skill. It's an acquired skill, if you will, but it isn't inherited overnight, if you will. It takes time, and for spend analysis to be accurate, people have to get very intimate with the data, have to understand the data, have to understand the procurement organization, the sourcing organization, and to really make that analysis effective. It can't just be done by any old data analyst to produce an effective sourcing and procurement report. In order to train someone to do that, it takes time. And in a lot of cases, those are lower level resources that tend to be moved throughout the organization. So it's difficult to get a bona fide, refreshable, and usable spend analysis leveraged across the organization. for a long period of time. So we have polling question number 1. So how would you rank your company's current level of spend visibility? There are multiple choices.
Oh, I'm sorry. Grant, so folks, on your screen right now on the right-hand side, you will see a set of polling questions that Grant's going to go ahead and read to you. Just simply click a button and click Submit, and we'll see the responses in just a few moments.
So again, how would you rank your company's current spend visibility? A is highly accurate and actionable use of formal spend dashboards. B, somewhat meaningful spend reporting, meaning there's regular spend reports available to you. C, very limited useful spend analysis. Maybe it's just spreadsheets that are on a shared drive. D, only when you do it yourself for your projects that you're working on. Or E, there's no spend analysis conducted on a regular basis.
So, Grant, what are you thinking here? Only when I do it myself for projects?
It's either, I go between that one and 3. There's lots of spreadsheets being tossed around procurement organizations. Everyone has a different take on how, procurement spend should be looked at, right? There's not usually one unified model that says this is how we should be looking at spend, and it's distributed accordingly, and then it's actionable by the organization. We're getting we're getting some of the C and some on B, which is somewhat meaningful spend reporting. Okay.
That's good. That's good.
Okay, so about half of you felt it was B, somewhat meaningful spend reporting. So regular spend reports are available. That's good. Okay. So understanding these challenged areas and now the new or revised objective to extend procurement's reach, and knowing that there's limitations within organizations to effectively build a strategy around spend visibility. Again, spend visibility is comprised of more than just the spend analytics piece, right? It's ensuring that you have actionable analytics, you have opportunities defined, you have a roadmap, and it's balanced out by market intelligence, benchmarks, and organizational acumen, obviously. So to have a static spreadsheet of pie charts and bar charts full of here's the categories, subcategories, supplier rationalization, et cetera, those are powerful things. But there are many other layers to a good visibility program. So again, to alleviate some of that strain on the organization to either bring up additional resources, train up additional skill sets, or enhance tools. Essentially what we've developed here is PureSpend, right? And it's essentially a combination of technology and services. So at a high level, if we're looking at spend visibility as a service using PureSpend, essentially on a recurring basis, a client will transfer their AP and procurement data to us in certain formats. And in our realm, what we're doing using our PureSpend tool, that's our business intelligence software, and we'll talk about that in a moment, we use that state-of-the-art technology to do an efficient analysis, classifying the data, rationalizing suppliers, mapping the data, building taxonomies. But in that case, we're working with the client pretty closely. And then what we're doing, which is different, I think, from many other spend visibility or spend analytics providers out there, is we're then overlaying that with sourcing and procurement analysis using our techniques and tools and market intelligence. And again, as I mentioned earlier, taking our market intelligence and our benchmarks in our experience of thousands of sourcing projects and our active engagement in various industries and verticals, and applying that information to that data analysis. That is essentially providing not only a dashboard of spend, but a opportunity dashboard, right? A roadmap dashboard to say, here are your opportunities, and here's how you can essentially go out and source and get the best value from these categories, right? So it's more actionable, right? It's a roadmap. It's a tool for broader procurement and sourcing visibility besides just, spend dashboard. Okay. So, like I've mentioned earlier, part of this offering, the PureSpend offering, is the technology, right? So we licensed what we felt is one of the best of breed technology solutions in the market, and given that we've had over 20 years experience in the technology space around procurement, we've seen and used all of the best of breed spend analytics technologies. All right, we've settled on this technology based on its flexibility and sustainability. And by that I mean flexible or very flexible is we can develop client spend cubes with custom taxonomies and business rules for our ongoing analysis. And why that's important is, many other provider solutions have some limitations on its ability to be customizable from a taxonomy perspective or business rules, if you will, in terms of how categories or how supplier names or how GL or line of business coding is done. This technology that we're using is completely customizable, very dynamic, and it makes modeling of the data very, very easy to do. Sustainability, well, the support team that we have internally at Denali and externally with the provider is very dedicated, and they continue to evolve the solution to meet our clients' needs. Right, so it's a long-term utilization approach that we're taking. So that the idea with PureSpend is, it's not a single point in time analysis of spend and analysis of your procurement and sourcing activities. It's an ongoing thing. So maybe it's quarterly, it's monthly, it's semi-annual, what have you. We want a tool that we can leverage, so whenever the new data sets come in from your procurement solution or AP solution, we're able to instantly refresh that data and not have to go through the analysis over and over again, which many other provider solutions require you to do. Okay, so the mapping and the cleansing and the rationalization, all those rules have been built in. Obviously, if there are new suppliers that are added, some things change or categorizations have changed. There's some anomalies and exceptions taken into account, but for the most part, we selected this solution so that it could be extremely flexible in the mapping and categorization capabilities from a built-in data loading capability. So it's very flexible from that perspective. So there's a few snapshots here, a little bit about, it's probably hard to read. It is, without doing a full demo. We certainly did not want to do a demo during this presentation. There's more content to value. But what's important to take away is when you think about spend cubes, this solution is multidimensional. Right? It gives you an analysis to any degree or any level that you could possibly imagine. And I say that with a very straight face because in many analysis that we've done using this solution, we can spin and create multiple dimensions that I just never thought possible. Obviously, I'm not an expert in this particular solution, but the people on my team are, and they've done some pretty amazing things with this solution. So this is sort of the back-end view of it and how the teams go through the data and cleanse it, classify it, develop rule mapping, categorizations, taxonomies. This is sort of, the back-end component. And then this next slide here, slide 21, gives you just a quick glimpse into some of the views. They're very basic, right? Overall spend view, category, supplier view. But the dashboarding capability not only is going to give you the ability to have your unlimited views of your spend, also view of your opportunities, the progress of your opportunities. You can customize the reports. You can distribute your reports based on user group, line of business, function, whether you want different reports for accounts payable versus maybe operations and manufacturing. You can have different views, and it's sort of, for lack of a better term, there's infinite capability from a reporting perspective. It's very easy to use. It's all based in the cloud as well, so it makes it very easy for any organization to have these dashboards as part of their day-to-day activities. So now we're on polling question 2, Mary.
Yeah, so again, on your right-hand side of your screen, you should see the polling question pop up. What kind of spend analytics technology is your company using? Best-in-class business intelligence solution, module within e-procurement solutions such as Ariba Spend, an out-of-the-box ERP data analytics business object, some other third-party software, or no technology supporting spend analysis today. You know, Grant, the flexibility of the tool is extremely attractive. I'm sure that's very helpful as you're doing many different sourcing initiatives with your various clients in Denali sourcing.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons we've chosen to use the tool we're using is because of its flexibility. Again, we do so many sourcing projects across so many different industries. It has to be flexible, right? It's not. We've used many of those sort of block and tackling type, analytics tools. A lot of limitations on capabilities and mapping techniques and categorizing techniques, and we learned it here because we truly can do almost anything with that analytics solution. It's been really great for us. So please go ahead. Again, what kind of spend analytics technology is your company using? A, best in class business intelligence solution. B, a very common module within an e-procurement solution like an Ariba Spend or Zycus or others. Out of the box, sort of ERP data analytics, something like a business objects. D, other third parties. There are many third-party providers out there. Or, to your knowledge, there's no technology supporting spend analysis today in your organization. I tend to believe, before we see the results here, I tend to believe a lot of people will answer towards number 2. Because a lot of times they're bundled. The likes of Ariba and other providers will bundle in spend analytics.
That's what it looks like here. 36% on B there.
Yeah. Well, what I would have liked to have done ideally would be polling question 2A or 2B. Are you actually using it?
Right.
If you've got Ariba Spend Analysis or Spend Visibility as part of the suite, how effective is it? Is it getting any real traction? I've found those tools to be difficult. They say they're integrated. When I put big finger quotes in the air, a lot of those big providers are still challenged with integrating those solutions to an optimal level. Okay, good. So I think it's 36% of you felt you had a procurement module. Okay, and the next larger one was 4 third-party providers, and then third ranked was no technology supporting spend analysis at about 21%. So very interesting. Okay, so as we're going down that path, right? We have these reports, and what are the reports getting us, right? So I certainly see Snapshots, the solution, and certainly, there are multiple folks at Denali that can produce a demo and walk you through the solutions and the dashboards and give you a better, more intimate feel of the capabilities. But this here is just a sampling of, part of the process is we work with, before we even put the data into sort of a cleansing work stream, we start talking and working closely with the client on understanding the portfolio structures and the category structures, and looking at current taxonomies and current GL structures, and using best practices in our experience with multiple clients. What's the best unified level of portfolios and categories for the organization? Because we found in many cases that there's very limited, or it's a weak taxonomy, or there's poor category structures, or even line of businesses or departments are using their own structure to classify data. It's only where you see some self-service, e-procurement, mature organizations that have really vetted out their taxonomy. So this is another value add of the PureSpend service offering, is to help you get a handle on a more unified, best-in-class portfolio and category structure for your analytics. Again, you want there to be a single language set across the organization for how procurement and sourcing are going to report, on the progress of managing spend. So we often find that something simple as professional services, instead of calling it professional services, others want to call it business consulting, or that list goes on and on. So we work together in a collaborative way with the client to make recommendations on how we can fortify a single language for the organization from a spend management reporting perspective. And we continue to go down that deep dive, right? And the goal here of PureSpend is to provide logical views, right? Logical views mean it makes sense for a sourcing person. It makes sense for an accounts payable person. It makes sense for an executive leadership. We want dashboards and the data to pop. We want it to make sense and be actionable for the right users. Not one dashboard, not one spend view fits all. That's the idea, is that we want it to be actionable and usable by all members of the organization. So that's why we built PureSpend in a way, again, flexibility, but also it needs to be intuitive. It needs to be easy for each different type of functional user within the organization. So this is just a sampling. If you're looking at it from a sourcing perspective, this is sort of some of the degrees of the detail that you'll get in your reporting views. And, so part of the methodology, obviously we get the data, we use PureSpend, and we're looking at all the categories from a strategic sourcing view, supplier development, general procurement, and there's this constant component of value discovery and collaborating with the client, right? So it's not just pure data analytics, right? It's also going back, leveraging market intelligence. What has the organization sourced before? How successful were they? Do they have preferred supplier relationships, strategic alliances? We take all of these things into account to determine what are the opportunities. What is this new, roadmap for procurement, visibility going to look like over the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years, right? It's not just purely data analytics, and we'll talk about that a little bit further here. So our process for, deploying PureSpend, obviously phase 1 is the spend analysis, data enrichment, right? We're all very familiar with that because that really hasn't changed. The thing that's somewhat different for us is that we're collaboratively working with the client on not just saying, okay, let's understand the data, let's look for the weaknesses in the data, and how can we fix the data, blah, blah, blah. It's how do we fix the data long term within the organization, make some recommendations, and then, as I mentioned earlier, let's build a unified reporting structure so that when we do push out these dashboards, it makes sense to the entire organization. We now have one language. That's another differentiator of PureSpend. Phase 2, we do, again, once we have the data and we've built this very comprehensive analysis in collaboration with you, again, all hands on for the most part, on the part of the client, we do some surveys, we do some interviews, we work with the client team, we collaborate to truly understand their categories, to truly understand their sourcing, right, their process, their policies, and how they've effectively or ineffectively been managing sourcing and procurement, both strategically and tactically, to helps us apply to our sourcing opportunity analysis. Phase 3, again, we're developing formal opportunities, savings projections, again, taking in what we've learned from the internal acumen of the organization, the spend analytics, benchmarks, market intelligence, recent category expertise through our thousands of sourcing projects, and we're putting forth a roadmap and a dashboard of the opportunities. So here's the spend visibility, here's the roadmap, here's our opportunities, here's our savings, but it's all manageable and trackable within a dashboard, right? It's not a static PDF or PowerPoint presentation shot in time. This is now a dynamic visibility solution, which is phase 4, which is ultimately that visibility and performance reporting that you're going to get to the dashboard functionality. And the goal here is that it's ongoing. So every quarter, every month, whatever level of recurrence makes sense, we're refreshing the data, right? And we're constantly allowing or giving the client, the customer, the opportunity to monitor performance, whether it be to, compliance to catalogs or compliance to the sourcing engagements or leakage in contracts, whatever it happens to be, we're giving them that visibility. But the benefit here is it's not managed externally, right? It's managed through Denali, through PureSpend. So now you can put those other resources towards taking action and being more strategic than having to muddle through data and do analytics. The analytics is done by experts externally through PureSpend. Sort of a managed technology service, if you will. And so you might ask yourself, well, how do you get to the opportunities? How are you factoring that? How are you doing the analytics? So here's a high-level view of the, I think there's, 10 different attributes here that we're looking at from a sourcing opportunity perspective, and we're analyzing each category, subcategory, to help come up with what those opportunities are. Certainly this is overlaid with benchmarking and things of that nature that I mentioned earlier, but this just gives you a flavor for, okay, what types of attributes are being analyzed at the category level to develop this opportunity and this roadmap for our visibility dashboard. Looking at Maverick Spend, a lot of these are probably fairly common, but again, it's a comprehensive view, right? So it's not, well, hey, we know we've sourced engineering services and we usually get about 4% savings, so we'll just put that into our tool, and that'll be what's on the dashboard. It's 4% because that's what we've experienced. Well, no, it's not just that, and that's maybe what other providers do, is they just use standard benchmarks that are available in the market. No, we go through this very detailed, comprehensive view and analyze each category to each of these metrics, right, to get you a more true understanding of your category and how it's being sourced, how it's being managed or not managed, to get a better understanding of the true opportunities. Polling question number 3.
Yeah,
Mary, you want me to take it?
Yeah, go ahead. And just want to take a few moments and remind folks you're more than welcome to submit questions in the Q&A box as well.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
So polling question number 3, if you referred back, I'll refer back quickly, this is an opportunity assessment, just a component of the metrics, right? Looking at Maverick spend, total annual spend, cost competitiveness, supplier rationalization, the market trends, all of these things here are the key metrics doing a sourcing opportunity assessment. So the question is related to that. When was the last time a formal sourcing opportunity assessment was done within your organization? Within the last 12 months, which is A. I don't see the polling question here. Oh, there it is. Got it. B, more than 24 months ago. 3, it's been a long time, sort of don't know, question mark, not sure. Never done to your knowledge, or not sure. So I guess 3 is it's been a long time, but you just don't recall how long it's been. And 5 is you don't really know. I think it's, for me, I think it's, most people will say probably more than 24 months ago. Again, I don't know the exact dynamics of the group. I'm sure there's plenty of diversity in the group. It usually is at SIG. But doing assessments and trying to figure out what should we be sourcing and how should we be managing categories, it's a fairly common practice today in sourcing and procurement. So that's what I would tend to think. I just don't think they're done as actively and as recurring as they should be. As mentioned before, we're trying to extend procurement's reach. So I think there's significant value in a constant refresh of sourcing opportunity analysis and managing more of a dynamic sort of visibility way, reporting it regularly to create that sense of urgency. And I think that's why we'll see that a lot of people answer with number 2. Yeah, it's about half, well, a little less than half. Wow, so it's A and B, 12 months and 24 months. Interesting. Okay. All right. So the net result, right, at the very back end of the service offering, right, so we've done the data analytics, we've collaborated, we've built unified language of reporting for procurement and sourcing. We've obviously analyzed the spend. We've done some detailed, comprehensive assessment of sourcing at each category level. So the idea is you have a dashboard that, after a 6 to 8 week period, typically we're in that range, working with our clients to build these new reporting structures. We now have we now understand more about the spend, right? And we understand more about the opportunities and how you can start leveraging the market. And we do that by these comprehensive dashboards, right? Looking at spends and addressable spends and sourceable spends and all the different ways we can slice and dice the different detailed spend views. But more importantly, on the far right-hand side, there's there's these dynamic savings projections and wave charts and execution plans that go along with each category that obviously the client, in this case, has the ability to filter and maneuver and change versus there being a static report. Right now you can move categories and sort of bundle up project waves, and you can modify some of the current metrics to see how that changed the savings. If something changed in the market or if something changed internally, maybe we were able to rationalize some suppliers from maybe 100 suppliers to 10. Well, how does that change that opportunity if we haven't yet formally sourced it? Who knows what those would look like? But it gives the client the ability to change those metrics dynamically within their visibility reporting, which is different than many other solutions. So how do we get there with PureSpend? How do we get that sort of build that roadmap? And so here's a very typical timeline. In comparison, we've worked with clients who've tried to go it alone, on initiatives like this and take nearly 6 months, right? Where with our PureSpend methodology, our tools and techniques, we're able to do it in 2 months or less. To essentially get you that set of binoculars, if you will, to see your spend in a more detailed fashion, in a more common language, and get all the right stakeholders and functional groups the right type of visibility they need to see how the spend is performing. Right, so it's about an 8-week time frame. The caveat is always, the level of usable data, right? So we usually don't start the clock until we have usable data. So the real benefit of this isn't just how efficient and effective the new level of visibility is. It's the ability for procurement teams to, have to take action, right? That's what spend visibility should be all about: extending procurement's reach, quicker decision making, and taking action. And you can do that through PureSpend's technology and services offering. And that was actually all I had. Are there any questions?
I don't see any questions. Did we talk about what kind of support you guys provide once the dashboards are live?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, you get like anything else. Well, maybe not like anything else. I think many folks know about our DSS, Denali Services, Sourcing Services team. That's our managed services group. They're a global organization, close to 250 employees. And they're made up of, almost 100% of strategic sourcing professionals. And there's a select group of those folks that are dedicated to supporting the dashboards, right? They're sourcing experts, right? We have a sub-team that strictly focuses on utilizing the analytics tool and building the dashboards, and certainly the clients work with them on a regular basis as we're building the dashboard functionality for the organization to make it fit. But post-dashboard development, so that ongoing manipulation of metrics and understanding categories and spend and opportunities, they work with a bona fide sourcing professional, not a technical support person.
So I love this question, Grant. What kind of spend classification do you use? UNSPC, client-specific? Do you have your own?
Great question.
Right?
Any and all. Any and all, right? So the UNSPSC code obviously is the standard, is one of the standards, primarily manufacturing. But what we do is we try to make what's the best language for the organization. And so what we do to do that is we take what they're using today and scrub it and say, does this look like other organizations in their industry and vertical? Are they classifying data in a similar way? Then how does it compare to some of the benchmarks out there in terms of some of the standard spend reporting studies that have been done? It's really the desire of the client and then some blended in best practices. So we always try to map all of the data to UNSPSC codes regardless, so that they're in the background. They're always there. They're always available in case there's any reporting requirements that come down the line, or if there's any things they want to tie to their e-procurement system or to their ERPs. Or we always keep that mapped to their reporting structure because it's been found to add some value. But overall, we want to make sure the reporting structure, the categorization, taxonomy makes sense to the organization. We want to make sense to anyone who's reading these reports so that they understand what professional services is or what landscaping maintenance is. cetera, et cetera.
So this sounds like somebody has been through this pain before. What would you do in the situation where your categorizations do not align with those of the client's general ledger categorization?
That is a good one. So we do get that quite often. So the GL. So the client likes to use. I think if I understand this correctly, the client wants to use GL structure. That's the only way they want to see it. Versus the way procurement has said, hey, look, we want to show our spend in this way and in these categories. Well, as I mentioned earlier, we have found that with clients, and that's why we do provide different views for different functions. So obviously the mapping can show both the GL language and the procurement language. So if I'm in accounts payable or in finance and I want to see things based on GL, I can do that. I can just flip a switch and say, you know what, don't show me the procurement view, show me the AP view. Oh, there's my GLs. I can view by GL. So the answer is both, right? The answer is to provide visibility or reporting both ways that make both organizations happy. Any other questions? And certainly, if anyone certainly can reach out. You have my email address. I'm sure you can find me on LinkedIn or our website, denaliusa.com. I'd be glad to talk further about it, give you a demo of either one of our, the services side or both with the technology at any time.
Excellent. Well, it looks like we'll give some time back on everybody's schedule here, and Grant, definitely appreciate your time and effort. I just want to remind everybody that our next weekly webinar will be a solution deep dive with Zycus. And that'll be on Thursday, July 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern. And that Denali will be presenting at the next SIG Summit. So we'll see you there, Grant.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.